I'm going to introduce in a second to you Chris Moomey, who's going to say a few words about his father. He'll be the first Hall of Fame inductee that we honor this morning. You know, there are many stories through starting this Letterman's Club and starting the Hall of Fame. There are many stories that we have learned along the way that maybe haven't been talked about very much, but someone knew, and this has kind of come to the surface, and we've learned some neat things about many different people. And one of those individuals was the Moomey family. And when I got a hold of Judy and Don, I talked to them on the phone. Their story is just a great one. And Don was a student at York High, right here in York, and was recruited by President Dale Larson from York High School. And when the college was going to reopen, he went to the York High and was talking about York College. And Don was a taker and decided that he wanted to be a York College student. And Dr. Larson actually hired him, I guess maybe on the spot, to come the summer before the college opened and help to get it ready. Do maintenance work to help also pay for his first semester as a student here at York College, and turned out as a pretty good athlete as well. But I think it's so great that many of the trees that we have on campus were planted by Don. I asked him to take a walk around campus and see if he could remember one that he planted. So I don't know if he did that or not, but Don and Judy met here, and their story is very special, and I'm very glad that I know it, and now more people are going to know it. So please welcome Chris Moomey.
Thank you very much. Sincere condolences to the Tandy family. Very sorry to hear about your loss. I'm a little bit nervous, so I hope I'm speaking loud enough, because we've got a lot of really old people in the audience. Uncle Phil, can you hear okay? Yeah. Uncle Phil, real quick, why I feel okay having a joke at his expense. He used to talk to my Uncle Elton, and he would all of a sudden just go like this. And my Uncle Elton would be reaching for his hearing aid. He'd turn it up so loud it would start squeaking. And then that's when he realized that he'd been had. So, I got some notes here. I think I'm going to raise this thing. There it is. So, very honored to be here, and really appreciate you people being here. I know some of you come from a long ways, and it means a lot to my family, it means a lot to my father. Dad's the most important man in my life. Absolutely. We already talked a little bit about Dad being the first student here, which is pretty neat. Planting all those trees and everything, working for his tuition. I told my sisters that I was going to be doing this, and my sister Celine said, you have to mention our debt to York College. It's been touched upon by Jared, but I'm gonna hit it a little bit harder here. Dad had been here for a couple of years, and he had a 6-month obligation to the military, so he took off 6 months. My mom was here, and everybody was telling Mom, you got to meet this tall basketball player, Don Moomey. I don't know what the word they use, maybe dreamy or handsome, or anyway, perfect for you, right? And Dad got back from military service, and his friends were saying, oh, you got to meet this Judy Christensen. My gosh, she is just perfect for you. She's beautiful. You're going to love her. And Dad was kind of running around the campus and wondering when he's going to meet this Judy Christensen. And it's Hewlett Hall, first time he saw her. And they both knew instantly that that's the person that everybody was telling them about. So what do you say in that instance? You don't say anything. You just walk right by. But he said he noticed her smile. He said she flashed that great big smile. And it's been confirmed that they both knew at that moment that that was the person everybody was telling them about. So we do owe a debt. 6 months later, they were married. You know, why wait? And you know, a lot has been said through just different people speaking about the character building aspects of athletics. I think it's true. I'm sure that you come into athletics with a lot of character, but my dad definitely has a lot of character. Very ethical, driven, honest, super talented. My dad could build a house from the ground up if he needed to. I mean, he can do anything. Even if he hasn't done it before, he'll jump right in and try to do it, and he'll get it done. Funny, intelligent, patriotic. I think that's important. I want to touch on Dad's career a little bit. He was a Colorado State Trooper, and he advanced through the ranks faster than anybody in the history of the Colorado State Patrol, ultimately attaining the rank of Major, District Commander. Is it District Commander? Yeah. And District Commander. District was District 5 in Durango. I remember Dad taking tests, and there were some setbacks back in the days. You know, tests would get thrown out for different reasons. Dad was almost always number one on all the tests, and you know, he would get a little bit discouraged, but then he'd just rally right back, and he'd just come back stronger and study harder, and he'd be number one on the next test. And you know, if they couldn't throw that test out, they'd promote him. And so, you know, we were always very proud of him. Dad was awarded the Governor's Highway Traffic Safety Award. Dad started a program that identified high fatality roadways and DUIs. And he started this program where they just really hit those highways very, very heavily, patrolled them and everything. And he reduced, in the first year, fatalities due to alcohol-related driving deaths by 62%. Not a typo, actually 62%. They then instituted that statewide in Colorado. So if you're, you know, who knows how many lives have been saved over the last 30 years from my dad instituting that program. If you're ever driving through Colorado and you see a state trooper and you think, oh, I can speed up because I just passed a state trooper. And then you see another state trooper. You think, oh, two, there can't be more than that. Well, if you get up to 5, that's another program that my dad started in Colorado, and it's been very effective. So the fatality rates in these areas have gone down. So obviously very proud of that. Dad was also president of the Rotary Club in Durango. He started a club down there, an association, charter president, his idea from start to finish, called 4 States Peace Officers Association. It's now grown to hundreds of members. Well, down in the Durango area, at 4 States area, a lot of times if you made it across the state line, if you were a criminal, you got away with whatever it was that you were doing. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now they have radio frequencies that they can go to communicate with other police officers in different states down in that area, and different standard operating procedures and stuff, you know, for when someone does head for the state line, that type of thing. So, Dad also was founding president of the Southwest Colorado Underwater Search and Recovery Association. This is a group of scuba divers down in that area. Anytime anybody goes over the side and into the water, into a lake, or there's a lake crash or whatever, boat crash or anything like that, this group gets together and they go down and they scuba dive and they hopefully recover a person. More often than not, it's a body recovery, but and they're still there. Both these groups are still here. That first group, 4 State Peace Officers Association, has grown to hundreds of members. Let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, so we've hit on Dad's accomplishments. I think his greatest accomplishment of all has been just a great dad. I'm going to ask my sisters to stand up real quick if they could. I mean, these are my sisters, Michelle, and Denise. And you guys can sit down. Not only beautiful, but talented, honest, hardworking, you know, just dedicated, gracious, just wonderful people. So I think you did a good job there, Dad. The relationship between a father and son, a lot of you know, it's probably one of them, you know, it's the most important relationship as a kid growing up. Father actually teaches you or shows you how to be a man by example and sometimes by actual instruction, you know. I'm sure I'm not the only one that had a handshake lesson when they were growing up, you know. And I mean, it's amazing how important something like that is to a kid, you know. You don't want to get in there too fast. You don't want to squeeze them to death, you know. You want to get in there. It's not a contest, you know. You get in there, you hold it. It's firm. You don't want to squash their hand. You want to make eye contact. Say something appropriate. Smile if it's appropriate. If it's not appropriate, but you always make eye contact. And you know, it was so neat when I'd meet my dad's friends after that. The friends would always say something like, "Boy, your son has a good handshake, Dad." You know, it felt really good. It was let's see. You know, it's interesting because still talking about the relationship. You know, your dad helping you make decisions as you're growing up and guiding you to be a good person and everything. I still hear I hear my dad's voice when I'm making decisions. You know, I mean, I hear my mom's too, but it's mostly Dad. You know, he's there and he's saying encouraging things. You know, follow through on that. You know, or you can do a better job than that. Or let's see, go ahead and just start that. It'll be done before you know it. You know, these are the types of things Dad would have said to me as I was growing up, and you know. We were always going fishing or something like that as kids. He always helped me with my baseball, football, anything I was doing. Dad was always there for me. Cub Scouts. I didn't think I was going to get emotional. Sorry about that. One time we were doing something, I think it was fishing, up on Grand Mesa, Colorado. Something we did all the time. Wonderful. Wonderful experience for a kid. And I said to Dad, something to the effect like, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else doing anything else than right here with you right now doing this. Well, Dad seemed pretty touched about that. You know, me saying that meant a lot to him. So I started noticing those types of moments growing up. I definitely don't have time to go into all of them, but I'm going to bore you with a few of them here. We used to come down out of the mountains, and he'd let me sit in his lap, and he'd work the controls on the truck. He'd let me drive down the mountain. I was probably 9 years old, 8 years old, but I couldn't reach the pedals. I mean, what a treat for a kid to drive but he was always right there. If I started going off course, he'd just, bump the wheel a little bit that way. One time we were up on Grand Mesa, and we were on a little boat that we had for fishing. And there was literally a little ring of ice around the outside of the lake. And I said, Dad, I want to go swimming. And he's like, oh, it's cold. I said, yeah, but I want to go. And he says, son, it's really, really cold. And I said, well, can I go? He says, yeah, but you understand it's really, really cold, right? And I said, yeah. Well, he let me strip down. We were all by ourselves up there, and we probably got, probably seemed further at the time, but 25 feet from the shore or something like that. And I dove off that boat and just skimmed across the top of the water. It was so darn cold. But made for a really good memory. Crunching through the ice to get to the shore. A lot of us stuff has just involved being outside when we were growing up. So I begged my dad to let me get in the back of a pickup truck. And my daughters probably believe that's even hard to believe that even ever happened. But we'd jump in the back of the pickup truck. I'd jump in the back of the pickup truck, cold as heck. We were always coming back at night. And, just that rolling motion and the wind blowing around, it's just nowhere else I'd rather be. One time we were up hiking. We went on a big old hike. And we happened upon this thing of shale with a really steep angle. And it was probably, I'm not really great with distances, but 250, 300 feet. And just this real loose shale. And Dad says, let's jump down that. I said, okay, Dad. And so we started jumping down. And you would jump out about 4 feet and fall about 10 feet. And then you'd hit the shale and just slide and jump and fall and jump and fall. It was one of the funnest things I've ever done in my life. So, I literally could go on and on. Let's see. My daughter Ella wanted me to mention that he had 2 beautiful granddaughters. So here you go. They call him Pop Pop, and he's got 2 grandsons. Ernie just took off. I don't know where he is, but they call him Pop Pop. So, let's see. But the reason we're here today is to talk about Dad's athletic prowess. So, in 1956-57 season, Dad had the single season scoring average of 24 points a game. Pretty good. 24 points each and every game, every time he went out. Career high scoring average over his from 56 to 58. So 3 years of basketball, if I'm doing that right, 23.3. Most free throws in one season, 114. And I was looking at the stats. I'm not real sure about it, but it looked like they weren't playing that many games back when Dad was playing. Some of the kids that have the close records to them, they were playing like almost twice as many games and stuff too. So it's kind of impressive. Dad had he had 3 games with over 30 points. He had 36 points in 57. He had 35 points in a game in 58. 33 points in a game in 59. Dad was ranked 5th in the nation in the NJCAA. What does that stand for, Jared? National Junior College in 1956 with a 23-point average for 3 games. He was also at York High School. He was the captain of the 1956 district champions. So, I feel like I missed some stuff, but sure appreciate you being here. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Steve Ekman, President Steve Ekman, who I think will... I just want to tell him I wouldn't rather be anywhere else, doing anything else with anybody else.
Don, if you could join me at the podium. A couple of comments that I thought of as Chris was talking a minute ago, and that is, I understand now why he had underwater search and rescue after I hear how he taught his son to drive when he was 8. And also, I spent a lot of time elk hunting and skiing around Durango, and I hope we've never met before. Don, at this time, I want to officially induct you into the York College Athletic Hall of Fame. Because of his athletic achievements, his longtime work as a public servant, and his Christian spirit, on this day, October 12th, 2012, Don Moomey is inducted into the York College Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Chris. That was extra special, and I wasn't going to get emotional either. You made me do it, okay? This is pretty phenomenal for me. I had no idea that when you're doing basketball, doing everything in life, like you'd never dream that I would never dream that anything like this would ever happen. So this is so special, and I want to make one little comment first. Chris, when he first got up here, said he was nervous. He doesn't know nervous. It must run in the family. It must be hereditary because I'm quite nervous right now. I didn't plan on that either, but it's quite emotional now. And I think that this is just a wonderful way. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Right there. This is a wonderful way to permanently end a 40-year basketball career. I've played on an organized team with a coach in competitive competition for 40 straight years in a row. Started in 5th grade, Westward High School, or Westward Grade School. First game, 5th grader, and we were taking on, I think it was Northward, and they were the elementary school powerhouse at that time. I remember that. And the first game I was center, and the ball went up, and I tipped it to Sam Hall, playing forward, right forward. And he started dribbling. I ran ahead of him, unopposed. And it's a good thing it was a small gym because I didn't know how to dribble, and Sam threw it to me. Well, I didn't know what else to do. I looked at the basket, and I threw it up in the air. It went in. I was hooked, and 40 years later, I finally gave up the game in Durango, Colorado. It's so good to be home. Love York, Nebraska. Love living here. I don't think I would have wanted to live anywhere else in this world. People are great. My family commented at the motel this morning how wonderful the people were and how friendly and gracious they were everywhere we go. And I said, well, that's the way I was raised, you know. In that environment, it was wonderful. I'd like to thank my immediate families seated here for traveling so far. They came from California, Arizona, Colorado, and also my extended family. At the next table, we kind of put them back there a little bit. And they're generally from the area, from Seward and Central City, Hastings, York, might have left one or two out. Silver Creek, what else? And that's it. But, nice to have, wonderful to have my family here. The only people missing out of my immediate family are a couple son-in-laws that had to work. And friends, thank you for coming. I see quite a few faces in the crowd, some that I went to high school with and college, and I really appreciate it showing up, the people that came here today because of this work. And thank you to Jared Stark and to Kristen Houston for all of your help and everything. They've been wonderful to work with on this. But a bit of information back and forth, and always a pleasure. And I'd also like to thank York College for starting and sponsoring the Hall of Fame. That was just last year, was the first year. Of course, this is the second year. And it's just a wonderful honor. My experience at York College, you've heard quite a bit of it, so I'll kind of get through that in a little bit. Started in the spring of 1956. Now, if you keep in mind, that was 56 years ago. I'm 74 now, and it's just hard to believe. Trust me. You younger people do good because it goes so fast. I just can't believe how fast it goes. Dale Larson, Dr. Dale Larson, did come to our Business Boys Club meeting at York. I was about ready to graduate, and the college administration building, under other auspices, had burnt to the ground, and the buildings laid vacant when the York College closed down. And York College was going to take over, reopen the college in 1956. And when Dale Larson came to York High School to give his presentation about York College reopening, nobody in that group had a clue that York College was going to open up again. And I thought, well, I'm a senior, I'm about ready to graduate, maybe. And I probably would not have gone, however, because I had other interests too, had it not been for Dr. Larson. And trust me, it was a life-changing meeting, the results of that meeting. I wound up at York College and met this beautiful cheerleader over here, and that would not have happened. I would not have had this wonderful experience at York College, and I wouldn't be standing here today. And anything else between that meeting with Dr. Larson and today probably would not have happened. So that was very dramatic. After that meeting, Dr. Larson asked me to come to his office the next day and talk further, and I did. And we talked about the college, and he offered me a job at the campus, cleaning up the campus. And it started right away, and I worked all summer there. And he offered me a salary of $1 an hour. And that sounds a little strange, especially to you younger folks in the back of the room there, but you got to know and you got to remember that $10,000 back in those days, 56 years ago, would have bought a pretty decent little house. Dr. Larson was being cheap at all. That's just the way it was back then. However, 50% of that dollar was to go to my tuition. Can you believe that? And that was not Dr. Larson's idea because, once again, it's not Dr. Larson being cheap because he certainly wasn't that kind of a person. That was my idea because I wanted to make some kind of a financial connection and a real ownership in this York College experience, and part of it coming from me initially. And so immediately my tuition started to grow. The first person that I met on the job was a man by the name of Mr. Mersch. And he was a custodian, and I suppose today they call him a facility coordinator or something like that. But he and I basically cleaned up the campus. It took all summer long, and the longer I worked with that man, the more I respected him. He had integrity, he had character. He was a retired professional. And I kept thinking, Mr. Mersch, he didn't have to be here hauling trash and digging ditches and planting trees and all that kind of thing. And as I worked with him, I found out later that he really didn't have to be there, but he needed to be there for York College. Simple as that. And he needed to be there for York College to help York College get off on the right foot and to help make it, start it making it what it is today. Toward the end of the summer, I noticed new people showing up, and they, of course, were faculty, administrators, support personnel. And in my work around there, I was pretty innocuous. To them, I was just this tall, skinny kid, with a shovel in his hand or a broom or pushing a wheelbarrow. So I was pretty innocuous, and they would talk around me, and I would listen. And I found out that they all had integrity. They had character. Their primary goal in life was to do their very best for York College, to make it the very best. And being around it in the last few days, I can see that tradition lives on. And it was really wonderful to be a part of that and see that. It was just inspirational. And I further realized that after watching these people and listening to him, there were just a whole bunch of Mr. Mershes on campus all of a sudden. And it was good. And one of the people that showed up at one point was Thomas Campbell. And the gentleman sitting right in front of me, whom all of you know almost, all of you probably know, was absolutely a delight to work for. Played for him for, I think, 3 years, better part of 2.5 years anyway. And I found out he was the standard for those qualities that I just talked about. And a pleasure to work for him, and another inspiration. And that brings up basketball. I said 40 years of basketball. I started in the 5th grade, which you've heard about. Then I went on to junior high, to high school, college, military ball, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Company C53, I'll never forget that one either. And back to York College, and then started in Colorado playing City League competitive basketball. It started in Loveland, went to Johnstown. I played in Grand Junction, I played in Fort Collins, Denver, and finally Durango, playing for the local law enforcement agencies after 40 years at age 50. And I figured maybe I've pushed the envelope there just a little too far at 50, but still was able to hold my own a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. Talk about Coach Campbell for just a little bit. I'd like to congratulate Coach Campbell and his wife, Dolores, in being the first inductees in the first ever Hall of Fame, the York College Hall of Fame. Very deserving, and I congratulate them on that. As you can see, basketball has been very important in my life, so this is just kind of wrapping it up in style as far as I'm concerned to get this wonderful award. I have one more thank you, and then I'm finished, I think. It's to that pretty cheerleader sitting over there that still is my cheerleader. And she's encouraged me over the years. We've been married 53 years now. And she's always given me support on basically any goal that I had in life. And I should say probably more than support. She's given me a lot of encouragement. She's encouraged me to try anything I wanted to try, to do anything I wanted to do, and always made sure that I had the resources to do that. So I owe her a very great deal, and she's been a wonderful mom. I give her 99% of the credit for the beauty and the character of my children. It's been a great ride, and this honor caps it all. And I hope that you understand when I say this is one of the proudest days of my life. And I thank you.